Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Sales Confidence, for giving us the opportunity. I know that you've heard from a few of my colleagues, and I hope that you've all had a fantastic day of learning and excitement. So I'm here to talk about something that is very close to my heart, and I'm very passionate about, and it's something that I have developed and improved upon as I progressed through my career. And I think it's the fundamental to try and drive a successful sales organization. And so it's three key pillars to actually building a winning sales culture. So very passionate to take you through that this afternoon. So if we could go, actually, I wonder if I could click on this. Yeah, okay. So safe harbor stuff, you can't steal any of my content because this is content that is purely for me and the company. But that's just the legalities out of the way. Let's move over to who I am and what I represent at ZoomInfo. So my name's Nadeem. I am a father of two amazing children. And a husband to a very beautiful wife. And I'm also a cat dad. So I've got a cat called Casper, who is very interesting sometimes, but the kids love him. I tend to say I've got allergies, but maybe that doesn't go down so well with the missus and the kids. But I look after revenue and growth at ZoomInfo. I've been here for just over 2 months now. And as Owen mentioned, I was at a company called PGI prior to that, and started my career from an SDR, and have kind of worked through the motions of the different sales functions, from SDR to AE to account management to then leading teams. So I think today what I'm going to talk to you about is something that I have developed and evolved as I progressed in those functions. I've been very fortunate in my career actually and I say this to a lot of my team, a lot of my colleagues, that I've been very fortunate to have had experienced great leadership, and I actually give them an immense amount of credit for the way that they have shaped the way that I now manage teams, and I'll also give a lot of credit to my father. Growing up, he was all about respect and humility, and just being a person that, people could feel comfortable around, but more importantly, people could respect, work alongside. And I think, that was something that he wanted me as a human being to penetrate out to the world. So that kind of value has been installed in me from a very young age. So yeah, so let's get into the mix. So I'm going to throw up a couple of stats here, guys, just to kind of paint the picture of why this topic is such an important one. You can see there that 74% of employees report they are more effective at their job when they feel heard, right? When they feel heard. This goes back to, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. There's a reason for that. We continuously promote this in our sales function, where we say, listen to the customer, listen to the customer. But it's also just as important to listen to the people. And the reason for doing that is, if we go into the next slide, there you go. Happier workers are 13% more productive. That number may seem small, but 13% is the difference between getting to 100% when you're at 87%, right? So every percentage point you can gain in productivity is success that you are driving within your team and within your culture. And it's very, very important that people are treated with respect, but more importantly, they feel valued. If we go on to the next slide, thank you. So how do we do better, right? That's the question. I think, there are 2 types of leaders. One will be the one that will be driven by numbers and matrix and, all of those other good things. and the others will be ones that will be driven by people and their performance. And that's what I'm here to talk about today, because it's a topic that is very close to my heart. So the way that we would influence that, or the 3 key pillars that I want to talk to you guys today about how we could build a sales culture that can penetrate excellence, is by doing 3 things, in my humble opinion. Number 1 is just lead with empathy. Empathizing with your team, understanding each and every member of your team is critical. You need to be the leader that understands who these people are, what is the things that drives them, what are the things that turn them on, what are the things that they don't like. It's really about creating that bond and relationship, just like you would with your friends, your parents, your family members, your friends. They're no different, right? They're part of your family. As a leader, you have, actually, it is your core responsibility. These people are your core responsibility. And I think Simon Sinek said in one of his in one of his speeches that it's about the people that you're in charge of, and it's not about you taking charge. And that's a really powerful statement. So I think understanding that is the most important factor, is because it's all about the people. The second thing is you don't just have one person being a leader, you have a multitude of people within your team. So how do you then take that team and build unity in that team, right? So what are the things that you would have to do as a leader to have those guys ticking off each other, and just working and collaborating successfully together in order to drive that success, or in order to drive that excellence, whatever that may be. And then the final thing would be, what are the things that you are doing as a leader to put in place in terms of structures and goals in order for us to get to that goal? And that's a collective goal that we would strive to achieve as a unit. Obviously, there is going to be people in the team that will strive to be superstars, and that's fine. That's great. We want to have a competitive spirit within the team, and that will only just drive the person next to him or the girl next to him in order to drive with more emphasis and more agility to kind of keep pushing themselves to success. So what I want to do, let me just hit the next slide here. So I'm going to go into each of these categories with a little bit more detail. So leading with empathy. I think this one is probably the most important part of, let's see if this next slide comes up. There we go. Okay. So lead with empathy. So I think it's our fundamental role as a leader to be able to build relationships with each and every member of our team. There may be people in your team that, for whatever reason, you have a perception that they are very good at what they do, and you may have perceptions of others that you feel, maybe that guy, doesn't do as well because of X, Y, Z reason. You got to wash those clean, and you need to give everyone the same pedestal in order to then build a relationship with those people. You need to be able to understand what are the things, who are these people, what are the things that make them tick, where do they come from, what drives them. These are the kind of questions that if you don't know the answers to right now, then it is our responsibility as leaders to find that out, because those are the things that you will be able to use in order to then drive their success and ultimately your team's success. So it is critical that time is invested in people that we are in charge of, so that we can drive success within that particular function. The other thing that I would say is, understand what they want, right? So what do they want from their role? What do they want from their career? What do they want to achieve in the long term? What do they want to achieve in the short term? Do we have the answers to these questions? If we don't, then I think this is where time needs to be spent to really understand, hey, John, you're 25 years old, he may tell you that he is just about to get married, he wants to buy a new house. whatever it may be. He wants to go away and do further education. These are the kind of relationships that you need to build with these people, because those are the things that will then help you further down the line to pick them up and to be able to drive them to that goal that they want to achieve. And how are you as a leader going to then influence getting them from where they are today to where they need to be? So very, very important that we spend time in understanding each individual that we are responsible for. And you have to genuinely care, it's easy to kind of say these things. Every leader is different, but if you are the kind of person, I'll use an example of, what I mean by this. If you're a sales professional, you're a sales leader, you all receive commission statements at the end of the month, or you may go onto a platform to see, how everyone's performed. If you're going in and checking your statement as the first statement, then you need to reconsider that, in my humble opinion. You should be checking each and every members of your team's statements to make sure, where was John? How did he do this month? How much commission did he earn? Why was he off? How much did he, exceed? Whatever it may be, tick every single person in your team, and you should be the last person that yourself should be the last person that you view. That's what I mean by when you genuinely care about the performance and the development of these individuals. So here's another one. This is an interesting one. Despite the tangible benefits to functional performance, productivity, and engagement, a high majority of employees, 86%, feel that people at their workforce are not heard fairly or equally. Again, this goes back to really understanding, what are the drivers behind performance and what are the drivers behind their performance. And so it's really, really important to understand, what each of these people are feeling and what they're going through on a day-to-day basis. And this brings me to a really important point, and I want everyone to really take this. If there's one thing you take away from this presentation today, take this slide away. People will forget what you did. People will forget what you said. But people will never forget how you treated them, right? And this is a fact. We are all driven as sales leaders and as sales professionals by numbers, metrics, performance, success, but it all starts with the people. And there is no team, there is no success without them. And this is why they should be at the forefront of everything that we do. So this now takes me on to my second pillar, which is obviously building unity within that team. How do we go about doing that? If we could go on to the next slide. Thank you, James. So how do we do that, right? I've listed out multiple things that I do and have done in the past in order to kind of drive more unity within the team. And you may be doing similar things, but having a common goal is critical, right? We're all in this together. That's what unity is. When you go to watch a cricket game or a football match, whatever it may be, any team sport, the goal is to win, right? And that should be the goal, a common goal. Guys, we're going to get to X percentage this month and we're going to do it together. Because that promotes a sense of achievement as we progress closer and closer towards that goal. And as we get closer to that goal, we should celebrate the successes that we have, right? Because again, what that does is it creates this sense of achievement and it creates a sense of togetherness. And I've used that word togetherness a couple of times on this slide. And the reason I do that is what it's all about. It is all about bringing us together in order to get to where we need to get to. And then it is your role as a leader to course correct the folks that may be doing things in a different way. There may be coaching opportunities where you can go in and actually lift them up so that the whole team spirit is lifted together. Promote open communication. This is critical. The reason why this is so important is because it actually creates trust and buy-in in what you are trying to achieve collectively. And this goes back to, you know, the point that we made earlier about people feeling that they're not heard. They're feeling they're not heard because it is the truth. You being the leader are coming in and saying, hey guys, you know, this is what we need to do. We need to achieve this. This is how we're going to do it. Boom, let's go. Right? Rather than, hey, we're going to get to this number. How do you think we should go about it? What are the things that we did last month that were successful, that worked for us? Open conversation. What are the things that potentially didn't work so well? Let's list them out together. Open conversation. Put them on a spreadsheet, put them on the whiteboard, put them wherever you want to put them, and then collectively discuss, right, so if we achieve this last month and we want to get to this month, how do you guys feel? What are the things that we should do in order to get to that goal this month? And they will all collectively give their input. And once they do that, you then put a plan together in order to execute that plan. And you know, that's really powerful, getting their buy-in, and that not only builds trust between you and them, but also builds trust between the wider members within that team. The other thing that, you know, two other things that I'll touch on here, and then I'll move on, is, you know, just diversifying your workforce is so powerful. Just bringing in different types of people, different thought processes, different cultural backgrounds. These are all things that really builds value and togetherness as well, because everyone has a different way of approaching things and a different way of looking at things. And it's just sharing those skill sets collectively just make your team stronger and more united. And then just the last one that I'll mention here is just set expectations on both sides. You are accountable to them as much as they are accountable to you and the business, right? So if you're setting a goal for them to go and achieve, there needs to be a goal that, you know, you will achieve on their behalf also. That might be that you may, you know, do more coaching, you may fix some things that are currently not working as well or broken within the organization or the system or whatever it may be. But these are really powerful things so that they can feel that actually, if I am working as hard as I am, I can see that my leader is also leading the way and doing exactly what he said that he would do. So, you know, this is really powerful, and this will bring your team together and make them united and much stronger than they were when they first started. Okay. Right. So then you started emphasizing with your employees, you're getting a better understanding of who they are, what they want to be, where they want to be in their careers, what are the kind of goals that they want to achieve. You've put in the building blocks to create a much more united team. And then what do you then need to do in order to develop a structure in order to put that all of those things into motion? So I think the first thing that I'll touch on here is live and practice your company values, right? And lead from the front. It is very important. You know, most companies have values. We are at ZoomInfo very fortunate that we've got incredible leadership. Our CEO Henry is very inspirational, and he has created values that are actionable and also livable. And what I mean by that is, you know, you may have some companies will say our value is sustainability, right? Or our value is humility. These are just words that sound very good, but are they actionable? Question mark. Whereas our values, and this is, you know, I'm just referring to ZoomInfo here, is, you know, difference makers, define new possibles, get 1% better each day. So these are things that we can actually live. But, you know, if I use one as an example, what is the difference that I'm making within my team, within my customers? Defining new possibles, like we drive excellence, customer excellence every day, and we push ourselves to improve that continuously. So this is where we can say, right, you know, each member of the team is driving towards defining new possibles. And, you know, he's tasked us, our CEO Henry has tasked us with getting 1% better each day. And this is very powerful because, you know, as I was growing up as a child, my dad always used to say to me, Nadeem, your competition is only you, right? There will be noise around you, which will, you know, be the person to your left and the person to your right, but you're really truly competing against yourself. And if you can get better at what you do every day, then you will be a much better person at the end of that week, at the end of that month, at the end of that year. And this is exactly the type of value that Henry brings to our organization, is really pushing. But you have to live these, and you have to lead from the front. So in order to develop a structure that you will be able to execute in a powerful fashion, you have to lead from the front. You're a leader. It's in the name, right? If you're not leading and you're just giving out orders, you're going to do this today, you're going to do that today, that's not leading. That's just very poor dictatorship. And that's not what leadership is about. Then obviously we need to go away, set goals. They can be professional, they can be personal. Obviously, everyone being in sales will have a professional goal, which is a target or a quota to hit. So how do we work towards getting to that goal? This is where the plan comes in. The plan needs to be put together for each individual. There's a wider plan, but there's an individual plan, because every member of the team needs to be customized in the way that they do things, because you might have some people in your team that have certain strengths, and you might have some people in your team that have other strengths. It's all about amplifying those strengths and looking at areas that we can potentially improve. So when you get in your car and you're going somewhere, right, you have a plan to get to the destination, right? You either turn on your GPS or you have your route mapped out, and then off you go, right? That's your destination. There are two things. We need to know what our destination is, which is our goal, and we need to have a plan, which is our GPS, right? So both of those two things put together will allow us to build the structure that we want in order to get us to the success that we're trying to drive ultimately. Something that we've done and I've done is just having continuous team meetings and huddles. You can call stand-up meetings. There's different words that we use for these things, but it really does kind of promote the sense of direction that we're going in, and it also allows us to course correct, right? So if we feel that, hey, some things aren't working as well as we'd planned, then it allows us to course correct and improve upon those strategies or plans that we've put in place. And this is why the open communication, and this is why meeting daily is so critical, because it shows that you are invested. You as a leader is invested. The meeting should not be about what did you do today? What did you do yesterday? It's really about how are we progressing towards getting to the goal that we've set ourselves, and what are the things that we need to be doing in order to improve ourselves on a daily basis. This is the type of stuff that we need to be discussing in these types of meetings. Again, promoting feedback is critical. And the last point here, I think, is, always be developing yourself and always be developing your team. I think Roger Federer once said in one of his interviews that, if I don't continuously improve my game, and it's the little marginal things that I change and update on a daily basis, if I'm not moving forwards, then actually I'm moving backwards, because my competition is catching up and getting in front of me. So, by me not developing myself, I haven't stood still. I've actually gone backwards. So it is critical that you as a leader are not only learning and developing yourself on a daily basis, but also encouraging that and promoting your team, doing the same things for your team. Okay, so loads of information thrown at you there. So, just to wrap this up, people in performance, the Zoom Info way. How do we do it here at Zoom Info? There are a couple of things, what we refer to as, foundations to having a winning sales culture. And I think the most important thing that we look at is gratitude. I think this is something that we tend to take very lightly, right? I think everyone every morning should wake up and be grateful for the things that they have. For instance, you can walk, you can talk, you've got a family, you've got a roof over your head. These are all things to be immensely grateful for. You're in a position, you're in a role in which you can exceed in order to provide for your family, your loved ones. your partners, whoever it may be, or it's just for yourself, right? Like you're in a position where you can work very hard and be successful at what you do, so that you can go and buy those life's luxuries that you deserve to buy, right? But it is starting your day with being grateful for what you have. When you're grateful for what you have, it gives you a sense of purpose, and it's an immensely fulfilling emotion that will allow you to then drive further success, individually, but also wider within the sales culture. So, it's really important to highlight things that we're grateful for across the teams. I mentioned goals, very important to have goals, how we then build structure in getting to those goals. And the discipline is the part that is, the hardest thing. It's like doing the same things over and over again, and being repetitive in the way that you do this is probably the most difficult thing. It's like when you go to the gym, I've obviously clearly put on a couple of pounds, and I want to lose some weight. So, going to the gym is the hardest thing. But when you're there, you get a sense of accomplishment and a sense of achievement. But it's doing that every single day. So whichever function you're in, you could be a marketeer, you could be in sales ops, you could be in sales, you can be in whichever profession, but it's doing the stuff repetitively, and consistency is what's going to drive you closer and closer to the goal that you have set. And that's one thing that, we obviously, drive and promote here. And, I've missed out belief, and maybe I'll come back to that. But I think, as a sales leader and as a sales professional, if you don't believe, then you have failed before you even started, right? Like if you were a sports personality and you were walking into, a boxing match, and you were going in with the mentality that, oh my God, that guy's so much bigger than me, he's so much stronger than me, he's so much faster than me, I've got no hope in hell. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose that match, right? Because your mindset is just way too negative. We need to clear our mindset, and we need to just believe in, what we do in order to drive success, right? So this is something that it's very hard to teach, actually. And I think the way that you can influence this is just highlighting the small things, that an individual is doing well, right? And they're doing that because they believe that they can do better at that, and promote that and highlight that and celebrate that. And that will drive a sense of belief much wider than they ever imagined. And that is your role as a leader, to continuously lift the team and make them believe that, the destination that we're heading towards, we can get there, but we're going to do this together, right? And that's what really drives a really, really successful and winning sales culture. On the right hand side, there's a couple of things that I've listed. Sorry, Jen, just to finish up on that. Keeping it simple, I think that's really important. You don't want to overcomplicate things. I think sometimes we have the tenacity to make things more complicated than they need to be. So keeping it simple is very important. I've touched on the self development. I've touched on how important the unity is. At ZoomInfo, we have a customer first approach. So, whatever we do is to drive customer excellence. So, that will always be a leading indicator for us. And obviously having a winning attitude that kind of refers back to the point of belief. So yeah, we can end it there, James. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this particular session. And yeah, it was an honor, James and Owen. Thank you very much.